Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. So, the theme is mercy. And I prepared some quotes on mercy. I have a little poem for you on mercy, Prabhupada's mercy. So this is actually pure nectar, for me anyway. So, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So I prepared a few quotes from the Shastra on mercy. There's certainly no shortage. Okay. So the first one is from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to Rupa Goswami. He met him in Prayag, and for, I think, 7 days, he instructed him. And this was more or less near the beginning of his instruction, and it kind of sets the tone. This is a verse that many of you may know, at least be familiar with. Ramande Brahmate Kon Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Pasare Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Prabhupada's translation. According to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary systems, some are going down into the lower planetary systems. Out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. By the mercy of both Krishna and the spiritual master, such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. I'm just going to read a portion of this purport. Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, and if one desires something, Krishna fulfills one's desires. If the living entity by chance or fortune comes in contact with the Krishna consciousness movement and wishes to associate with that movement, then Krishna, who is situated in everyone's heart, gives him the chance to meet a bona fide spiritual master. This is called Guru Krishna Prasad. Krishna is prepared to bestow his mercy upon all living entities, and as soon as a living entity desires the Lord's mercy, the Lord immediately gives him an opportunity to meet a bona fide spiritual master. Such a fortunate person is fortified by both Krishna and the spiritual master. He is helped from within by Krishna and from without by the spiritual master. Both are prepared to help the sincere living being become free from material bondage. So, first of all, this purport, this verse in purport, describes how rare it is to get basically the inspiration to practice Krishna consciousness, to inquire about Krishna consciousness. We are one of countless trillions and zillions of living entities who are wandering throughout Brahmanda. Brahmanda refers to the egg-like universe presided over by Brahma. There's many, many millions of universes and many, many millions of Brahmas. And within those universes are the conditioned souls who have turned their back on Krishna and try to become the enjoyer and the controller in this world. Now, we belong to that group, but we're also the very fortunate souls who have somehow or other come in touch with this movement through a book, through a person, through the deities, through prasadam, through the internet, often, and have decided to pursue it, inquire, read the book, come to the temple, chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, investigate. And so that is an important first step. Now, this idea of by the mercy of both the Guru and Krishna, Prabhupada says, I've heard Prabhupada talk about this verse and lecture, that Guru comes first, Guru Krishna Prasade. By the mercy of Guru, because after all, when Prabhupada came, he was giving his association personally to first of all in India for many, many years. And what was he doing? He's representing Krishna. He's trying to plant those seeds. See, the seed of the bhakti lata. Lata means a creeper or a vine. And it's a creeper of desire and a creeper of interest. And it's based on faith, actually. There has to be some preliminary faith in the words of the Guru, in the association, somehow some curiosity, that faith may take the form of just some interest to come and sit in the temple and hear a class or something like that. By the way, if you're interested, we give Bhagavad Gita class 3 times a week at 7:15 to 8:15. And then we have an ecstatic kirtan in front of Radha Giridhari, the last kirtan of the day. It's been going on for many, many years. I came here in '89 and pretty much started then, so you can count. Now we've been 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times through the Gita. Now we're around near the beginning again. So, what is this seed, this bhakti lata bija? This is a key concept which will be explained in the future verses, which we won't get into, but I'll summarize. It's understood that within our hearts, within our consciousness, during a given day, so many seeds are planted, seeds of desire, or the opposite kind of seeds. I don't want that. You know, there's attraction and repulsion. And both of those constitute a lot of our conditioning. Our unfulfilled desires, or desires that were fulfilled and we were disappointed, or things that we didn't want to happen but they happened anyway, and so that goes into our consciousness. In the Bhagavad Gita, very essential book, I recommend that you get it or at least read it online. You can read everything online now. The Bhagavad Gita is the basic book of Bhakti Yoga, actually, Krishna consciousness. And of course, as the title says, it's spoken by Bhagavan. It's the song of God. And it's part of a much longer book called the Mahabharata. And this Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains near the beginning. We're just in the 2nd chapter now. And those who are coming to the class have probably heard all this before. But basically, you're not that body. You're pure spirit soul. And we've lived before and will live again. One of the most important verses there, we just read, Jayate mriyate vakadachan nayam bhutva bhavitava nabuya ajo nitya shashvatoyam parano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. This verse kind of summarizes a lot of the ideas there. So the first word, Jayate mriyate vakadachan. The soul never takes birth and never dies. So this is very encouraging, isn't it? None of us are going to die. We're going to, sorry, I'm getting old. I'm getting some cramps here. Oh, I have to put my foot down. I used to be able to sit for hours. Now I can sit for minutes. So, Najayate Mriyate Vakadachan. Now this is spoken by Krishna, and if we have faith in these words, then it can transform our whole life, because it will reorient us to what our aspirations should be in this life. For the soul, there is never birth nor death at any time. It doesn't come into being. It's not like new souls are being manifest all the time. No, there are practically infinite souls. Most of them are in the spiritual world with Krishna or his expansions, Vishnu. But about 1/4, roughly, are in the material world. And as I think I mentioned, that this is just one planet, one planetary system. There are so many. But we're distinctly the minority. But our distinction is that somehow we misused our free will. Now this is a very important point, because people ask, I just got this question the other day, why would we ever leave? I mean, it was Satchidananda, full bliss, ever-expanding bliss. Why would we leave, you see? And it's a mystery, true. Pretty stupid move we made. But the idea is that in order for there be bhakti and love, there has to be free will. It can't be coerced. That's why I'm an editor. We're going to systematically change the word that appears a certain amount of time, servitude. Who can say what servitude means? Does anyone know the actual meaning? Slavery. It doesn't mean just service, the attitude of service. Now, Prabhupada would often use servitorship, which will be what we replace it with. So, in the spiritual world, there's this free will. Krishna has unlimited free will. He can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And we're part and parcel of Krishna, so we have minute free will. You could have gone to a million different places instead of the temple tonight, but you all chose to come here. So that's an important decision. But we have that limited free will, limited. So somehow or other, that's the only answer, is that we became curious about what it would be like to be Krishna. We wanted to try to be the controller and the enjoyer. You see, the supreme original controller enjoyer. So if we insist on doing that, Krishna gives us an opportunity. And hopefully we've learned our lesson. I mean, we've been through so many births and deaths, so many different organisms, and there's 8,400,000 species. Have you ever thought of what it would be like to be one of these trees out here? When I first came here, I came from Florida, and we had traditional coconut trees there, you know, palm trees. But these are like faux palm trees. They look like they might be palm trees, but if there were coconuts up there, they'd have to have a special thing around that don't stand under it. You get knocked out or killed. So they're faux, but they've been standing there. They haven't said a word. They're non-moving living entities. But that we could be that. We may have been that at one time. You see? But depending on our activities and our consciousness, if we're very sinful and very, very, violent, we're against all control, we can become trees, we can become fish in the ocean, a million different things. So now, think about that, how fortunate we are. We're human beings. But now, we need to take advantage of that human form of life. I always like quoting this verse. Maybe you've heard it before. 11th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. I think it's either Krishna or the 9 Yogendras speaking. Labdvasu durlabhamidam bahusambhavante manusyamartadam anityamapiha dhira turnam yatedana patedana mrityava nikshayasaya vishaya kalusarvataksya. So what he says there, oh human being, listen. Labdvasu, you have attained the very rare and difficult to attain human form of life after many, many births. Bahusambhavante manusham. It's practically the same word. Manusham, the manus, human being, man. Artadam, a key word. Artadam means in the human form of life alone can you truly attain the ultimate goal of life in this world, which is to end the cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death, samsara, and return back home, back to Godhead, to resume our original relationship with Krishna, which is eternal, full of knowledge, and full of bliss. That is our actual nature, Satchidananda. Now compare it to that what we have now. Is anyone here eternal life? I know you'd like to maybe live it. I wouldn't like to live eternal life. Not in this body. Maybe in my 18-year-old body. No. Obviously we're not eternal. And we're not full of all knowledge. So many things we don't know. So many things we forget. Right? What about Ananda? Does anyone want to raise their hand and say, I'm always in Ananda? You'd like to be, though. Ananda is different than just pleasure. You see, Ananda is spiritual pleasure. And in the spiritual world, it's hard to conceive of. It's ever increasing and ever fresh. All the relationship with Krishna. And it's a relationship of love. And it's full of all kinds of variety. It's not static, it's just standing there. There's activity, there's lila with Krishna. Lila is a very special thing. It means absolute play. You don't have to do it, but you want to do it because it's fun, you see? Now Krishna, he has a job, right? Even when he came to Vrindavan, he had a job, tending those cows. What a job. He goes out, right? And then they play all day with the boys. They're playing around the cows and doing their thing, you know, just grazing. Wouldn't that be a great job? You know, a great job, and you get paid. Milk products, you know. So that's Krishna, and it's so varied. And what is the pleasure? The pleasure is the original of what we have here, a perverted reflection. Relationships. The relationship with your friends, with your children, with your lover, with your husband, like that, you see. So Krishna is the center of all those relationships. You read about in the Kṛṣṇa book. I highly recommend the Kṛṣṇa book. You know, the history of this Kṛṣṇa book is wonderful because Prabhupada, the movement started in '66, where it was in New York, famously, you know. And Prabhupada was basically giving class on the Bhagavad Gita, but there were no Bhagavad Gitas yet. He was just reading the Sanskrit and giving the interpretation. He had his original Bhagavatam volumes, but that's just Canto 1. There's really very little Krishna Leela in the first canto. It's the introduction. So after a few years, the devotees, you know, chanting and dancing, the movement is expanding, but no one really knew all the details of Krishna's pastimes. So in 1970, Prabhupada stopped doing the systematic Bhagavatam. The second canto was done. He's probably working on third canto. And he stopped, and he just did what he called a summary study of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, which is all about Krishna's pastimes, so that devotees would know the details, you see. So it was all the books that came out, they caused a big revolution in the movement, because all this new information came out. Suddenly, you know, there's a lot to more read, talk about, learn, versus to learn and stuff. So the Kṛṣṇa book is the 10th, and it's a summary study. It doesn't give all the details and everything, but it's complete. He has 90 chapters there. And, you know, you read about Krishna's childhood Leela. This is all attractive, basically. Even this lifting over the hill, that's his childhood Leela. He's only 7 years old, and he's lifting this hill with one hand. Not even one hand, one pinky, you know. And they want to, and you know, you ever see paintings in Indian paintings? They always have the coward men are under there. They're trying to help him hold it up. You ever see that? Because Mother Yashoda said, "Don't, it may fall. Come on, help him." You know, so they're holding, like he needs help. But no one slept, no one ate, no one did anything, but just relished Krishna's association for a whole week, 24 hours a day. You know, while Indra was doing the thing, finally he said, "Okay, stop the rain." You know. And there was an arrangement so that the rain didn't come in under the, you know, and flood it. No, it didn't happen like that. So that was obviously a very special Leela. It's commemorated in this temple, you know, New Govardhan. So Krishna's pastimes are all attractive. If you really meditate on them, if you're chanting, if you're trying to be a devotee, then he can attract you with those pastimes. That's what this temple is for. Out of his mercy, he appears in the deity form, and that's also by the mercy of the Guru. He showed, you know, the installation. He gave the name, and we have a unique deities here. Of course, Radha Giridhari. We have other temples of Radha Giridhari, but we have Radha Giriraj. Now, normally, Giriraj means the king of hills, Govardhan, but Prabhupada okayed it in a letter, meaning the king of the mountain. In other words, Krishna. Giriraj is the name for Krishna in our little deities, is Radha Giriraj. So there's all kinds of wonderful things about, you know, Krishna's pastimes. But here we see the basic principle is that by the association of a guru, and we should always remember, and this is one of the most important things to remember about Srila Prabhupada's books, that he put himself into those books. He said so. He said, a newspaper reporter or something, he was always getting interviewed. What's the plan for when you leave? How's the movement going to go on? You know, of course they say, when you die. You know, what's going to happen when you die? And the Prabhupada said, I'll never die. I'll forever live in my books, you see. So just as we can feel Krishna's presence, if you're open to it, by reading the Bhagavad Gita, there are his words, and I'm going to read one of his most important verses here in a few minutes, about mercy, about his mercy. And he's explaining himself, and he's explaining our position in that book, and he's giving us inspiration to take up the process of devotional service. That's really what the Bhagavad Gita is about. And in fact, I took the last 2 verses of its instruction, the culmination of instruction. 18 is the last chapter, 18, 65 and 66. Many of you may know these verses in heart. So I'll give you just my little poetic translation. So he wraps it all up. He said, this is the most confidential. This is the secret of all secrets. So listen again. He's repeating, actually, from the 9th chapter. Just think of me. Become devoted. Worship me and bow down low. You'll come to me, O friend. I promise you this boon I shall bestow. Give up all other dharmas and surrender only unto me. Your sins I'll nullify, O Arjun. From anxiety be free. That's the essence of the whole thing. By the way, if anyone wants any of this poetry, just send me $10, $15. No, don't send me anything. Just send me an email. I'm not advertising. Dravida108@gmail, and I'll send you my poetry file. I have a whole. I'm going to read some more of it in a minute, because it's all about Prabhupada's mercy. So this is an essential verse I wanted to read, that by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we can get that Bhakti Lata Bij, and then we have to water it. This is the whole thing. We water it basically with the water of hearing and chanting, chiefly the Hare Krishna mantra. It's all free. Any of you can get beads, and I think they have bead bags, and start chanting this mantra. That's what I did. Back in 71, I think, 72. I was working full time, but I came in touch with the devotees. I got some beads. I said, okay, 2 rounds a day before I go to work. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then when I got to I worked in the hospital. So I didn't know much about it. So I said, well, maybe I can heal some of the patients with this mantra. So I didn't do it out loud. I'd get fired. But I was doing it in my mind, And I just got to tell you this story. This was so inspiring. My father had a stroke. He was only 62. And it was a pretty serious stroke, and the doctor said to my mother, it's very unlikely that he can recover from this. And so he was in another hospital just near where I lived. So I went to the hospital, and I was into this thing of trying to heal with the mantra, So I went into the room, and he was lying there. His lights are dimmed, and unconscious. And then, so I put my hand on his head, and I started to project the mantra silently in the mind. I'm not saying that you should all try this, but this was what I was doing. It's interesting, and it helped me to get a lot of faith in chanting. So I was chanting, in my mind, trying to project and everything. Then a nurse came in, and I had to leave. So it was about maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes of chanting. So he recovered pretty much. I mean, he still had to use a cane to walk, but he could talk nicely. He got a whole new job. He met the governor of the state, and he was always into politics, so he was campaigning for more, like what we would call Medicaid today for the elders in New York City, He lived 18 years after that. So you can try it, but you have to chant 2 rounds a day to really get the Shakti going. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But there's tremendous power to this mantra. That's a kind of a mundane look to it. But the real benefit of this Hare Krishna mantra is that Lord Chaitanya said it all. Cheto darpana marjanam, bhava mahada vagni nirvapanam, shreya kaidava chandrikavatanam, vidyavadhu jivanam, anandam buddhivardhanam, pratipadam purnamitasvadanam, sarvatmasna padam padam vijayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Should I give the translation? I think I should. So, what he says there is, all glories to the chanting of Sri Krishna's holy names, which easily extinguishes samsara's blazing flames by polishing the lust-encrusted mirror of the heart. That chanting is the waxing moon that knows the secret art of causing the white lotus of good fortune to unfurl its petals far and wide throughout this bleak and blighted world. Of transcendental knowledge which will take us to life's goal, the chanting of the name of Krishna is the life and soul. The ocean of ecstatic bliss floods far beyond its bounds, wherever Krishna's merciful and mystic name resounds. Indeed, whenever Krishna's names are sung in congregation, at every step one tastes a joy that knows no limitation. So hear with great attention as I earnestly request, please chant Shri Krishna's holy name and be supremely blessed. The soothing nectar of the name will bathe your consciousness, bestow pure love for Krishna, and eradicate distress. The whole movement is practically founded on that one verse. 7 metaphors for describing the progression of the holy name. And if you write me again, I wrote an article on BTG once on that, going through that and describing that verse. So this is Lord Chaitanya's great gift. You know, the avatar of mercy, most merciful. And he's giving it freely. And that I also put this verse. Yeah. Munificence. What is, sorry. What is munificence? Munificence is generosity, you see. So he's known as the most munificent avatar. This verse was composed by Rupa Goswami or Sanatana, both, when they first met him. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goda Tvijay Namaha. I offer my humble obeisance unto O most munificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself appearing as a Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani, and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. So this is another foundational verse for the Hare Krishna movement. We need, you know, this is Kaliyuga, and it's a special Kaliyuga. I like to bring this up in my classes in the evening. Once in a day of Brahma, Lord Krishna appears on earth. Otherwise, he may send different avatars and everything, but he himself appears on earth, two-handed original personality of Godhead. Now, how long is that day of Brahma? Who remembers from the classes? It's just 12 hours. Once in a day of Brahma. No, 24 hours. You remember?
8.64 billion.
She remembered it. 8.64 billion years, Krishna appears. And after Krishna appears, then he comes as Lord Chaitanya in the following Kaliyuga. So now, how lucky are we? A mere 5,000 years ago, which is how long compared to 8 billion, like a little, not even, right? It's very, very minute. Krishna appeared. He spoke the Bhagavad Gita. He enacted his pastimes so that we would, as he says, out of my mercy, so that my devotees will have refreshed their memory of my Leela so they can get enlivened. And he spoke the Bhagavad Gita, eternal. And then he came as Lord Chaitanya. Prabhupada says Lord Chaitanya is even more merciful than Krishna himself. Krishna said, surrender to me. Right? I gave the Sarva Dharma Padajaja, Mame Kam Saranamaja. If you don't surrender, forget about it. Lord Chaitanya didn't say that. He said, don't worry about surrendering. Just join the kirtan. Come on, come on. And who doesn't want, dancing and singing and chanting, you see? And then when you get a little tired, take this prasadam. There's 2 principles of chanting, dancing, and taking prasadam. And this is how Prabhupada started the movement. Yeah, there were classes too, but the main attraction was the chanting and the feast, which Prabhupada would cook himself in the beginning. You can imagine how those feasts. That's why the temple was always overfull. So he's not so it's the most munificent, and he's giving the most valuable thing there is in the whole universe: love for God. You see, this is our problem, that we don't have love of God because we love all these other things. Our attraction is time to this body, bodies of others, million different things. You get on the internet, a million things. You get attracted. But that love for God opens up the floodgates of all happiness and bliss and knowledge and liberation from birth and death. It's just a byproduct. You don't even have to worry about that. So that's another, this whole movement is moving on the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, who's giving us this most valuable treasure. And the way he did it is that he inspired his pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, to come. Everything here is a manifestation of Prabhupada's mercy, because he inspired Gunagrai Swami and others to come and to purchase this building, fix it up. It took him a year to do all of these decorations and everything, and to sustain it all these years. Devotees, wonderful, sincere devotees like Bhattinarayan Swami and others. Dharma Seta, is doing his puja and everything for so many years. So where does that come from? That determination to do it? From the love for Srila Prabhupada and the experience and the own your experience that you're getting from doing the service. So I encourage you to take it seriously, get the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, not much of an investment. But they're treasures, and you can begin to experience it for yourself, the wonderful, as you are already, the wonderful mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then there was one other verse that I wanted to share with you before we do this poem and explain it. And that's Bhagavad Gita, 10:11. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, as in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 4 verses that are regarded as essential verses. In the Bhagavatam, it's called the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. That was the beginning, that Krishna told that to Brahma. Then the whole thing of 18,000 verses expanded from them. So this 4 verses in the Bhagavad Gita are chapter 10, text 8 through 11, 8, 9, 10, 11. And the interesting thing is, there is a little parallel with the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. The first verse, Krishna basically says, I am God. From me everything comes. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattak sarvam pravartate iti madva bhajante mam hula bhava samanvitaha. Which means, I am the source of everything, everything emanates from me. The wise who understand that worship me with all their hearts. Now how do they do that? That next verse. Mat chitta, mad gata prana, bodhiyantak parasparam, katayantastamam nityam tushanti chadamanti cha. Now that tushanti chadamanti means they're very satisfied and they enjoy spiritual happiness by doing this, thinking of me. The whole thing boils down to always thinking of Krishna. Mat chitta and madgata prana, using their life energy, the senses, to serve me, to connect with me. That's the yoga, bhakti yoga. Thinking of me and then serving me. Gata prana, bodhiyantak parasparam. What do? They get together and they discuss me. Bodhiyantak parasparam. Katayantas means speaking about me. There's so much subject matter. We have the Gita, Bhagavatam, CC, or the Nectar of Devotion. And then by doing that, tushanti chadamanti cha, they become very spiritually satisfied and they enjoy spiritual happiness. I'll just share with you, one of the countless verses that I memorized. Well, the ones I memorized are definitely countable, but these are these wonderful verses. This is actually from a book called the Krishna Karnamrita, which means nectar for Krishna's ears. Now, if I wrote a book, I said, I think I'll title it Nectar for Krishna's Ears. That would be pretty proud, wouldn't it? Maybe you wouldn't like the book. But the author of this book, Bilva Mangal Thakur, he was blind, actually. There's a whole story behind that. Physically blind, but spiritually he could see perfectly. So he's going to Vrindavan, or he gets to Vrindavan, and he's writing this book, and he feels Krishna's presence, you see? That he's right there. And he finishes a verse, and Krishna's laughing, or he's pleased. So he can say, yeah, this is nectar for Krishna's ears. So anyway, I'll give you 2 verses. One appears twice in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Very easy to memorize if you're interested. Madoram madoram vapadasya vibhor. Madoram madoram, you know it? She knows it well. Madoram madoram, but the last line you can chant. Madoram madoram vapadasya vibhor. Madoram madoram vadanam madoram. Madogandhi mridusmitame tadaho. Madoram 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 madoram. Go ahead. Madoram, madoram, madoram. What does madoram mean? Sweet. Sweet in all of its larger, sweet means attractive, all that. Sweet, sweet. Now you can just imagine or actually look at Giridhari. Sweet, sweet is my dear Lord's form. Sweet is still his face so fair. But his honey-scented, gentle smile is sweet beyond compare. Now even in English, if you get my poetry file, you can memorize that, chant it before the Lord, you see. You'll get nectar. Now this is another one. Near the end of it goes, Jaya 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 Deva 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 Tribhavana Mangala Divya Nama Deha. Jaya 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 Deva Krishna Deva Shavana Mano Nayanama Tavatara. O glory, 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 Lord, O glory unto thee, who with thy holy name bless all 3 worlds and set them free. O glory, glory, glory unto thee, O Krishna Dev, whose nectar floods our ears and eyes and hearts in endless waves. I have a Krishna Karnamrita. I prepared a translation for it. I won't say that I translated it, but anyway, that also I can send you. So this is so then the one I wanted to share with you. So then I'll just read the translation for the next 2 verses. To show them special mercy, and I always look at them as those in the previous verse who are actually, hearing and chanting about me. To show them special mercy. No, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love. How? In that way that I mentioned, Machitta Magata Prana. I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Now this is a very important point to remember, that we as a soul, as souls, we dwell in the body. It says in the heart area. And we're animating the body. That's why the consciousness is there. Death means body breaks down, it's untenable. The soul leaves. We don't die, we leave the body. And the body is then called dead. It's just a dead machine. It has to be burned, buried, and gotten rid of. That's the story. But we're not alone in that heart. Because the super soul is there. Krishna is always there with us. You see? What does he do? I give them knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. Our conscience, that's a super soul telling us. When we don't obey the conscience, gradually we can't hear the voice anymore. You know, then we're in a worse place. But anyway, so here he's saying, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So he's giving us, he's enlightening our intelligence. He's giving us the intelligence. Okay, go to the temple. You know, why don't you go to the temple for the Sunday feast? All right, I'll go. I have a friend there. I'll go. He's telling us. I mean, he said, no, I got the game is on. I'm going to watch the game. See, then the next time you don't get such a strong encouragement. So that's what he's saying. To those who are always constantly devoted to serving with love, I give the understanding. Then here's the verse. Here's the mercy verse. Tesham eva nakampartam mahama jnana jamtamha nashiyam yatma bhavasto jnana dipena bhasvata. To show them who are always working to contact me and working to be devotees, to show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Now this word, anukampa, I'm a bit of a Sanskritist because I deal with the book so much, you know. So I know the word kampa is one of the main ecstatic symptoms. If you're advanced and you start to feel this cry and everything, and then you tremble, you see? Kampa, that's kampa. Anukampa means trembling in sympathy with someone else. This is like empathy. You know? Krishna is feeling our emotions. That's what empathy means, when you actually feel something. So out of that mercy of, you know, he destroys the ignorance in our heart. That's the idea. He's already there with the shining lamp of knowledge. And with that knowledge, we become more determined, more realized, and more advanced in devotional service. So that's the last of these verses. So this is just a few of the different ways. Now, there's so many other verses I could serve, but the time is limited. So if you allow me, I'm going to read this little poem that I wrote. Now this poem is a poem to Srila Prabhupada. I wrote in 1997. I was in Vrindavan during Prabhupada's Disappearance Festival, which is always around October, November. I used to go every year for 3 or 4 years in the aughts for Kartik. And so Prabhupada's Disappearance Festival was always coming during that time. So I wrote this, and it's based on a song we sing every day for Mangalartik. For those who are initiated and live in the temple or near the temple, you try to come every morning for Mangalartik, which is 4:30. It's a bit early. But then the song we sing, called the Guru Ashtaka, means 8 verses about the Guru. This is many of these ashtakas they're composed, and there's a 9th verse describing the benefits of coming every morning and singing the Guru Ashtaka. You know what the benefit is? We don't sing this verse. Those who get up early in the morning and come and sing this song to the spiritual master, they go back to Godhead, Goloka Vrindavan. So that's an inducement to go. But that's the setup. Anyone who's living in a temple comes. So these verses are based on, you'll recognize them, they're based on those 8. All right, here it comes. Trapped within samsara's all-devouring blazing fire, we had no hope for rescue. We had no hope of rescue till your Guru's strong desire inspired and empowered you to boldly cross the sea and teach the truths of bhakti, so some souls would be set free. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. Patiently you taught us how to chant the holy name, and how to dance, and how to sing, and what was life's true aim. And thus you gave us Lord Chaitanya's teachings unalloyed, and saved us from the all-devouring Mayavadi void. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now, and to your soothing lotus feet I bow. When Krishna Bhakti spread, and you had centers here and there, you introduced the worship of the deities so fair. And soon throughout the world their lordships smile upon your crew, and nourish strong devotion to themselves and unto you. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. Prasadam was your special weapon. No one could resist. Once the Sunday feast had started, no one could desist. Halva, sweet rice, crisp pakoras, sabjis, puris, rice. With these and other preps, you did our tongues and hearts entice. You'll experience that in a few minutes. Okay. The books you shower down upon the masses and on us taught Scripture's sacred essence, bhakti pure and nectarous. And while you wrote, you relished Sri Sri Radha, Krishna's name and form and pastimes, qualities and everlasting fame. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. While managing your ISKCON with the whole world as your stage, meeting, preaching, traveling like a person half your age, you served their lordship Sri Sri Radha Krishna in your heart, arranging for their pastimes in Vrindavan's secret part. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. The Guru is as good as God, you said, and some were shocked. But you had simply quoted Scripture, you did not concoct. And so every day we should reflect, no. And sure enough, for those who worship you as they would God, the path of bhakti opens wide and joyfully is trod. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. If you bestow your mercy, then Sri Krishna gives his too. But if your mercy is lacking, then there's nothing we can do. So every day we should reflect upon your life sublime and vow to serve you always with our body, words, and mind. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. So since I wrote it as an ashaka, there's a 9th verse, Pralashruti. I pray that my small hymn, though lacking literary worth, presented to remind us of your pastimes on this earth, may find some favor both with you and with your devotees, who hover round your lovely lotus feet like maddened bees. O Prabhupada, I pray that you bestow your mercy now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. So that's my little meditation on mercy. If there are any questions or discussions, factually this whole movement is made of mercy. You look in this temple, everything is simply there by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his followers who were following his will. And Prabhupada was following the will of his spiritual master, and he always gave him full credit. And ultimately it all comes down to Lord Chaitanya's mercy, Krishna's mercy, Srimati Radharani's mercy. I want to call your attention, if you would just glance at Srimati Radharani now, notice that hand. That's a mudra. You know what it's called? Abhay Dan, the gift of fearlessness. Abhaya Dan. So you just take that assurance and understand, she's saying, you just chant our names and try to love us, and everything will be just fine. Any questions, comments? Otherwise, we got some time. I'll give you some more shlokas, more poems. Hare Krishna. Oh, Guru Krishna Prabhu. Give him a mic.
So Lord Chaitanya is known as Patita Pavana.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he called Patita Pavana?
He's called Patita Pavana, and also, you know, we have at the end of the Guru Vandana song, we say Patita Pavana, Srila Prabhupada. Patita Pavana means uplifter or purifier. Pavana means purifier, by which we get uplifted. The fallen. This idea of being fallen is important. There was a whole philosophical discussion of that some years ago in ISKCON. But as Lord Chaitanya says, Ainanda tanuja kinkadam patitam mam vishame bhavam buddho kripayata papada pankajastita dhuli sadashang vichintaya. He's taking the role of conditioned soul there, and he says, your servant for eternity, I lost my true identity and fell into this horrid sea of birth and death, O Lord. O Nanda's son, please hear my plea. By your sweet grace, consider me a speck of dust upon your lotus feet forevermore. So that fallen, we're all fallen from the spiritual world. That's why we want to go back home, back to Godhead. So we need to be purified. That deliverance, that's the very first words of the Shikshastika, Chaito Darpana Marjanam. Chaita means consciousness or mind, and Darpana means a mirror, which is now covered by all this dust of impurities and pure desires. So that needs to be polished so we can see ourselves and can see Krishna there also. So that purification, that's another verse that I was thinking of quoting, but this one is also in the teachings to Sanatana Goswami. And this is very encouraging for all of us, because it means we already have the perfection in our heart. We just have to discover it. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunoi Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Kadaye. Notice those words, Shuddha Chitte. Again, it means purification of the consciousness. So this Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem, the eternal perfection of love for Krishna. And we should try to think of that and understand and investigate. That is really the most valuable thing in the creation. The eternal perfection of love for Krishna is not something that has to be brought from outside. It's eternally there in our hearts. And how can we discover it? Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte. By purifying our consciousness through the process of devotional service, beginning with hearing. Shravanadi means hearing, etc. And the next one is chanting. Hearing and chanting. And it's the essence is, and that's the kirtan. I chant, you hear, you chant, I hear. And in this way, we're becoming purified. The love naturally awakens because it's already there. It's just being diverted into things of this world, temporary things. That's why it's so frustrating. You know, I mean, we grow up, we form our attachments, we get a family life and so forth, but it's all very temporary. Eventually that it breaks. The relationship breaks, not only with the people, but the things. The money stays in the bank and we go elsewhere. You know, then what did you accomplish? What did we accomplish? Nothing. We just got ourselves another ticket to suffer in this world. But if we direct our and we're serving, right? We're serving our desires. We're serving we're breathing, right? We're serving the body. You don't think that was the gift of the pandemic? Suddenly, everyone becomes, whoa. The breathing is not. You can't take it for granted. I'm going to the grocery. Let me put on a mask. Who knows who else is in there breathing out? I'm going to breathe. So that, you know, but every day, every moment, we're serving this body, so it's sustained. But eventually, it breaks down. But that service is there. If that service is directed toward Krishna, that's the whole idea. Then we wake up. We become peaceful, joyful. No more depression. I'm 77 years old. When I was 26, I was all depressed. I had to go and get some pills. You know, thank God, I didn't take shelter of some drugs, crazy drugs. But I had it was maybe 6 months like that. But then when I started chanting and hearing, you know, it's gone. All these years. That alone is worth the price of admission, isn't it? Anyway, I don't want to belabor it, but the whole movement is moving on mercy, and it's Prabhupada's mercy, it's also Krishna's mercy, Radharani's mercy. Mercy means you feel for someone else and you try to help them. You know, that's empathy. And the whole movement is based on that. But you read the Krishna book, you know, the rains come, Indra goes nuts, and he starts sending down the rain, and not just rain, but big blocks of ice, you know, and the winds. And what did the residents of Vrindavan do? Krishna, save us! You know, we don't deserve this. You know, he says, okay. So, you know, he lifts up the hill. Says, come on under, don't be afraid. You know. So that's the Boma Lila. You know, in Goloka Vrindavan, there really isn't much danger. The only misery there is separation from Krishna. You know. So the Krishna goes to the forest, and the gopis say, when is he coming back? Every moment drags on like 1,000,000 years or more, you know. So then, here, I'll show you another verse. There's no poem, but you can hear the melody. You know. This is from the Govinda Lilamrita, which is truly a wonderful book. Denu vrindamanamandamayandam venu geetamamritam visujantam renu rushidatalalakabantam kenu bhikshasamayurnamudantam. I wrote some poetry, but here he's rhyming at the beginning and the end of every line. Not easy to... That's why it's called Kaviraj, the king of poets, Krishna's Kaviraj. So what is a meditation on Krishna coming back? He's coming back from the far. Denu vrindam, all the herds of cows on the Monday. He's walking very leisurely behind these cows, these many cows. He's got his boys, friends also, they have their own cows. You know. So that's important. So he's coming back. And as he does so, of course, he's playing the flute. Venu geetam amritam visujantam. He's creating this wonderful nectarian song with the flute. Venu geetam. So he's got Denu, that's the cows. Then he got Venu, geetam amritam. Then he got Renu. Renu is the dust. coming up from the very sacred dust of Vrindavan, powdering his hair. Who, seeing this sight, will not attain the highest bliss. You see? Now, we all know from reading anything, if you read something, the description there, you'll see in your mind's eye whatever's there, right? That's the whole idea. So just by learning this verse or chanting it, you can see he's coming back. And if you lose your track a little bit, chant it again. What easy as anything. And the Bhagavatam is filled with prayers like this. And the Gopi Geet, Jayati Te Dikam. Some Indian, you know that? You learned it when you Jayati Te Dikam Janmana Vrajak Shayate Indra Shashvaratrahi Dayata Dvishyatam Dikshutavakas Tvahitvitasavas Tvam Vichindate. This is the gopis in the rasa dance, the leader rasa dance. Krishna abandoned them all, except for Radharani, he's with Radha. And the gopis go nuts. They start, enacting his pastimes, asking the foliage and the earth, did you see Krishna? And it's all in this beautiful song, And then they've come to this verse, which is like, as I heard a wonderful lecture by Vaisheshika Prabhu, and it says this verse is the anthem for the book distributors. They all know it, right? Come on. Tavakatamratam tapta jivanam gavariditam kalmashapaham shavanamangalam shimaratatam bhuvagunandihe buridajana. There's the whole story behind this verse. So they're speaking to Krishna. They don't see him, but they're saying, the nectar of you talks about you, glorification of you. Tapta jivanam is the life and soul of those who are suffering in this burning in this material world, the threefold miseries and everything. Tavakatam tapta jivanam. Shavana mangalam. No. Tavakatam tapta jivanam. Shavana mangalam. Shimaradatam. Yeah. No, I'm skipping a line. Oh, Bhuvagunandihe. See, now I'm getting old. Tavakatam tapta jivanam. Shavana. Anyway, third line, Shavana Mangalam Shrimaratatam. It's certainly auspicious to hear and filled with spiritual power. Bhuvaganantihe Buridajana. That certainly those who are spreading your glories are the best munificent welfare workers in the whole earth. So those who go out and distribute books, Srila Prabhupada's books, we have a few staunch distributors here, and they're the best welfare workers for the world because they're giving them a clue to how they can solve all the problems of life. And you come here, we have all the books. Don't leave without a book, or at least we used to have packs of magazines. I worked on the magazine. But anyway, so this is what the Srimad Bhagavatam. We have those for sale, and it's filled with verses like that. The Gopi Geet, the three of them, So it's giving us a chance to fill our minds and our hearts with thoughts of Krishna, glorification of Krishna, and become detached from all of the things that are binding us to this world, and become attached to Krishna, who will take us out of this world and back to Godhead. So, no questions, comments? Oh, we have two here. All right, who has the mics? I'm going to get the other mic and get ready for this fellow. No. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Just real quick, the email address again?
Huh?
The email address again?
The email, Dravida108. Dravida 108 at Gmail. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, turn it on the microphone. No, turn the mic. Show them how. Just hold the button.
Hello.
Go ahead. It's on now. Is it lit?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you.
In the beginning, you mentioned briefly about souls in the material world and spiritual.
Yeah, the mic isn't on. Turn it on for him, Dvijamani. Or give him
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
now we can hear. In the beginning of the lecture, you alluded to souls in the material world and the souls in the spiritual world. I need a clarification. The souls in the material world represent us who already have a body.
Yeah.
Whereas the souls in the material world don't have a body.
You're talking about souls in the spiritual world don't have a body? I mean, you just said the soul in the material world twice. The souls in the material world here, we have a material body.
Okay.
The souls in the spiritual world have a spiritual body. Eternal body, Satchidananda. It's full of bliss, full of knowledge, and eternal. We have a swarup. Each of us has a original form which is just suited to our particular service for Krishna. It could be a coward boy, it could be a coward girl, it could be an elder gopi or a senior, or it could be a cow, you know?
So,
yeah, and they're all fully conscious.
okay, so what is next for the souls in the spiritual world? What is the next step?
The next step for them is getting up early in the morning and going out with Krishna, you know, simply serving the next day. They're not going anywhere. They're already there. That's the final goal. But it's not boring. It never gets boring. It's ever fresh. The pastimes have different, varieties. So it doesn't get old. Everything here gets old, including our bodies. And we that's the idea.
So when does the rebirth happen then?
It doesn't happen for the souls in the spiritual world. No more rebirth. Only the souls here get different bodies, because we're never satisfied, and the body is temporary.
So the recirculation is only in the material world?
The reincarnation, the samsara, is only in the material world. Yes.
Thank you.
But we want to end it. We want to keep going round and around. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Yes, Boo.
Yeah, it's nice to listen today.
Uh-oh, turn it on. Yeah, we're going to end right now. Okay, you're on. No, it's on. No. It's too low.
Hello? Here?
I think it's on.
Audible now?
Point it at your mouth.
Hello?
That's it.
Yeah. I just want to know, we just say that, we are leading a good life. We say he led a good life. What is a good life?
What is a good life here?
Yeah. Oh, in the universe here, where we are living here, all of us are living. What is a good life?
A good life is a life that's based on spiritual values. That's an Aryan's life. An Aryan, he chastises Arjuna at in the first chapter, beginning of second chapter, because Arjuna doesn't want to fight. They battle, right? You know the plot of the Bhagavad Gita. And he says, this is anarya jishtam, asvargam. That's not going to take you to heaven. It's an-Aryan, not Aryan. An Aryan is someone who lives his life according to spiritual values, progressive spiritual values. You see, not simply trying to enjoy or increase the material side, because that's fatal. That's a bad decision, because it always ends in death. You're separated from it, then you see. But a spiritual value means that you carry you may not go back to God in one life, but you make progress, and you get birth, as Krishna promises in the 6th chapter. You'll get birth in a devotional family, a yoga family. You'll continue your devotional career. But anything material is lost. You leave it behind. All these multi-billionaires, they're going to die one day. What's going to happen to those multi-billions? They can't take it with them. And God knows where they're going to go, because what they had to do to get those billions. Better to live simply and direct your energies toward progressing in Krishna consciousness. So that's the best way to live life here. Once we get to the spiritual world, don't worry. It'll all be spontaneous love. Everything's worked out. We'll be under Krishna's protection. Okay. Go ahead, Boo. Thank you very much.